Hey everybody, it's Rogelio and Yupa here for Woodward Tigers, and the proper show is not gonna start for another 15 minutes, so we get John and Chris on here at some point. But right now we're watching the SeaWolves and the Richmond Flying Squirrels as the SeaWolves are marching towards the playoffs. Billy Leshner just allowed a wild pitch here. It's a 2-1 count as the SeaWolves are trying to get to the playoffs. If they essentially they have the tiebreaker over Bowie, and if they win the division, they play Richmond next week. So they play the same team. And I was getting some stats from Greg earlier, and he got them from one of the writers over in Erie. The Seawolves are 24-40 lifetime against Richmond. Oh no!
Oh, kind of corn.
Based off that swing, the way they did the camera, you got to admit that was a little threw me off there. But and nevertheless, welcome into another. We'll start the episode here shortly. But anybody who's watching us on YouTube or just gonna be watching along, and wait a few minutes for everybody to show up here. But overall, this is been all these games this week. Have you watched any of the Richmond Erie games at all?
Yes, I have.
It's been some nail biters, eh?
It's been good baseball, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's been like the Tigers have played a couple of close games too, so it's been a little bit of jumping back and forth, and it's been fun.
And it looks like Barneo or I'm trying to think of his name now. I'm drawing a blank on his name. Gentlemen, what's going on in the YouTube chat? There we got Blood right here and Christopher. We're going to watch the game for a little bit, guys, so feel free to make commentary of what Erie's doing with their bullpen right now. And, it's just, like I said, this has been a back-and-forth series the entire time. Every game's been intense, and right now, up the plate for the Seawolves is Diego Ricones, and he's got 259 with 10 home runs, and Lester trying to get himself out of the jam here. So 2 outs, you got a runner on second, and Ricones is 1 for 3 on the day. He's a designated DH. And so here we go. But
I really think as I've watched, it's really interesting that the competitive nature of athletes, these are a bunch of guys who basically have been thrown together, quite a bit of them this year. They've never played together, some of these guys, but yet, they're chasing this playoff spot like it really means something to them, and it's kind of cool.
Definitely does, and that looks like it's a little flare.
Damn.
Deporte throw home. We have a tie ball game. There you go, Blood right. Yeah, that was a blooper. And if you imagine if they would have not scored had that the wild pitch, so now it's tied 5-5 here in the bottom of the 7th. That was what was it called? Jim Price would call it a duck snort, whatever that.
Duck snort, Texas leaguer, all kinds of things.
So on the day, Reese Olson started the game. He went 4 2/3 innings, allowed 2 earned runs on 2 hits. He hit 4 runs total, 4 runs, 2 of which were earned, 2 walks, and struck out 9. And the big damage came from a home run from Richmond in the first inning off Olson, and that was off of the shortstop Wilson. So now it's 5-5. Is that glass bottle of water? That's a rare sight. Did you see that?
No.
Yeah, the guy in the dugout had a glass bottle of water. You don't see that very often.
No, it's not. I didn't see. I was looking down. I was writing something. Sorry.
No, it's okay. No, I agree with you, Christopher. That's why we're paying attention to this, because Toledo, by the way, has won 7 in a row, and they're not the playoff picture, but Toledo's been playing more exciting baseball. But yeah, this is cool. I mean, let's not kid ourselves here. And looks like it's gonna Richmond is out of the inning, but damage is done in the tie game. And Parker Meadows, by the way, who's had a big series, and he's had a big summer. Yeah, he's had a big summer, but the month of September, he's just been carrying the team on his back. And today on the game, he is 0 for 3 so far on the day. But Dane Myers is the one that's been doing the damage. He's got the 2 of the RBIs today, and then Josh Crouch with another one. He had a big time home run last night, and just his second game. I believe it was the second game in second game in Double A. There we go.
Yep.
So, yeah, Steve Cook. Yeah, I was just gonna say he didn't do too bad, but he was I thought he was nibbling too much tonight. So, and that's where he got in trouble. Yeah, I remember that too. The Judy hitters, punching Judy hitters. I never understood what punching Judy meant. Some sort of term I remember hearing that was
I think
around for a
Punching
while.
Judy was like a cartoon from like the 1930s.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, that's a really old reference.
I was gonna say, okay. Thank you for giving context to the reference because I had no idea what I just thought it was some sort of random, that old people say or whatever that terminology came from. But nevertheless, yeah, this is like I said, every game in the series has been tight. And right now, if you're looking for scoreboard watching, if we're looking at what's going on with Bowie, unfortunately, Bowie is up 7-1 over Akron in the top of the eighth. So this is a must-win for the SeaWolves as Bowie, I keep seeing Bowie is chasing Erie in the standings, but still Bowie with a big 5-run inning in the fourth, and that's been the difference for him. I expected Akron to do some things, but especially off a pitcher like McDermott, who came in with a ERA over 6, but what are you going to do? That's how baseball works. So right now, up to plate for the SeaWolves here. And the batter is Josh Crouch, who is DHing tonight. Michael De La Cruz is doing the catching this evening. So, and Crouch again had a big at bat earlier, drove in a run on a ground out. So, but what have you seen so far from Crouch? I know it's only 2 games in, but he's already looked like he's already belonging in Double-A.
Well, he was smaller than I expected for a catcher, but he looks stocky, just a little short, which there are a lot of catchers that way. That's not a big deal. But
ooh, that's a nice pitch from right.
It seems like, he has a decent eye, attacks the ball. Certainly made a great swing last night for that dinger.
Yeah, that was a beautiful swing. So if you're watching with us on YouTube, again, feel free to commentate on the game right now. 0-2 count here on Crouch. And for everybody listening to the podcast side of things, and here's the pitch from right. Another off-speed pitch, and in the dirt goes 1-2. But I got to stop saying but. I keep doing that. I have to. It's a crutch phrase. I got to just stop when I'm saying something. So 1-2 on Josh Crouch here in the top of the eighth. Tie ball game, 5-5. And here's the pitch. Got him. Oh, old fashioned. That looked like a curve to me.
Yeah, pulled the string on him.
Yeah, 3 straight off-speed pitches, and that one's a little more up in the zone. 1 out here in the eighth, and the batter is Michael De La Cruz, who is 1 for 2 on the day, and then Cabrera to follow. I need something here. Just a little duck snort, a little punching Judy hit. Oh, yes, the Mighty Casey at the bat. Yes, it's been a while. But yes, that was one of the more familiar stories growing up. Was it let's see here. Is the Mudville 9?
The Mudville 9. There's no joy in Mudville. The Mighty Casey.
Yeah, there's no joy in Mudville that day. Yeah, there we go. One will count on De La Cruz. Ooh. Strike gets it on the outside corner. Right, what I like about Richmond's broadcast, by the way, which I unfortunately can't pipe in the audio for it. They go really deep into the history of some of these players a little bit, even going back to the days in high school, and it's pretty cool to hear that. Whoa, that's a wild. That was a pitch right up in the zone there by Wright. It's 2-1, and I liked. I don't know. It's just some of the details that he was adding during the broadcast yesterday. Listening to it, we're listening to the whole thing, so.
Mm-hmm.
Set by Wright. And the pitch to De La Cruz. Bounce chopper up the middle. Second baseman fields it over to first. Mm-hmm. 2 away in the top of the 8th inning here. The Flying Squirrels, by the way, from my recall, I was looking at their their caps are among the top selling caps because of the Flying Squirrel logo. Of course, you see the jerseys too. I like those. They're kind of look like a comic book, if you will.
Yeah, they are nice.
So Chris Wright, who's in for Richmond, was a 12th round pick in the 2019 draft. This season, 70 strikeouts and 52 innings pitched with 6 saves. Daniel Cabrera trying to look for his first. Let's see here. I'm trying to do commentary, and I've never. It's funny, for all the times we talk baseball, I've always still wanted to figure out how to do commentary, or play-by-play rather.
Sure.
0 for 2 on the day for Cabrera. But yeah, Wright. So Wright is a pitcher, by the way, who has been with Richmond since beginning of the season. So he's been not one of those calls. He's been there the entire season, holding it down for the bullpen. 1-0 pitch. Low. Go ahead, Uper.
No. I was interested in watching this guy. It looks like on fastballs, he kind of does a little recoil. And on off-speed stuff, he kind of follows through a little more traditionally.
2-0 pitch. Misses outside. I see what you're saying there. Especially, too, because he has almost that slight hesitation, too, as he comes to the set a little bit. Arm dangled down. There you go. Just kind of little, yeah, there you go. The extra pump of the glove. 3-0. Swing and a miss. It looked like the same pitch he threw there before.
Yeah. Yeah, it did.
Little tailing action on that from the lefty.
Now, Cabrera was sent down this year and came back. He's been a little better since he came back, right?
Yeah, he's slightly better, yeah. 3-1 pitch. Low and outside. He walked him. So Erie gets a walk on. And the batter is Danny Soretti. And we've not had a chance to talk about Soretti too much on the podcast. So Danny Soretti was drafted this year. So this is a 2022 draft pick. 6th round, I believe, out of North Carolina. And it's impressive, because we were talking about this earlier, Chris and I. It's not very often you see a position player get 3 levels in one season.
Right. Straight out of the draft. Yeah.
Ball up and away.
You know, I was telling you, our buddy Nick Mishler here in Iowa really likes that guy. Has watched him a bit. Has seen him at some different places. Really likes the swing. Thinks he's going to hit.
They kind of describe him as a baseball rat, right?
Yeah.
Mound visit here as they're trying to figure out what to do with Soretti here. Soretti on the day, by the way, has an RBI, and he's got a pair of walks. So, but yeah, we're going to be starting here shortly. Just wanted to, like I said, just try to catch in on the Richmond-Erie matchup here. Is if Erie wins the division, they play Richmond again next week in the postseason. Okay, the ump's out. Okay, guys, enough. Let's go. Although he didn't say anything, you just kind of give him a look like, hey, let's go.
Let's go, ump. Let's get him out of there.
How often is that happening, Hubert? Do you just give them a look and then they go break it up?
Usually I don't even get to the mound before. I'm saying something when I'm halfway there. I'm clapping or something to get them moving.
Yeah, it's kind of like
it's very rare to get to the mound.
Yeah. All right, so for everybody expecting a podcast, we're going to start here, like I said, in a few minutes. Soretti here. 1-0 count on Soretti.
Come on, kid.
Here's the pitch. Low and away. And Soretti, by the way, is batting right from, well, if you're looking at it from the view here, it would be, he's running for the right side. I don't know why I got confused there for a moment, but 2-0 count. This is away again. Ball 3. 3-0 there. Is it 3-0? It's 3-0.
Yeah, you're right. 3-0.
Yeah, 3-0 on Danny Soretti. Erie with runner on after a walk to Cabrera. As SeaWolves try to get a couple runs here, gives themselves some separation here coming into the bottom of the 8th. Pitch from right. Strike on the outside corner. Good. I'm glad to hear that, Walter. Thanks for participating, like I said. So 3-1 count on Soretti. Right comes to the set. And the 3-1 pitch. Strike. Same exact spot on the outside corner. Been painting that corner. And I got it to a full count.
All right.
Soretti didn't like that call, by the way. He was not a big fan of that call. It was a good spot. I thought it was a good spot.
Turn and burn on one here.
Right to the set. The payoff pitch. Swing on a pop-up. And it looks like it's going to go behind and out of play. Bring it up again at 3-2. 5-5 here, top of the 8th inning. Glad to have you with us as we're doing a kind of a watch party right now between the SeaWolves and Richmond Flying Squirrels, the Giants AA affiliate, by the way. So would this satisfy your bloodlust for the Tigers losing the Giants in the 2012 World Series? Probably not.
Hell no.
right with the pitch. And he struck him out. Same pitch again on the outside corner. And Strady goes down and strikes.
I'm not sure what he was looking for there.
Yeah. Then maybe he was looking for the off-speed pitch. I don't know, but he did not throw him a single. I don't think he could throw that curve that he was throwing there, but no. It struck him out, and now the SeaWolves leave one runner on as we head to the bottom of the 8th. There we go, John. How you doing?
What up, guys?
Hey, John.
So we're gonna start here in just a few minutes. I was waiting for you, and eventually Chris will probably join us a little later, and we'll just wait to hear another minute as the Flying Squirrels come to the bat here in the 8th inning. So, John, what's going on? How you doing, man?
All right. Busy day, but I'm here. I'm ready to talk some baseball.
Damn right you are.
Should be a good time.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Christopher. He was in the YouTube chat how you like to make the picture work. Absolutely. I just thought that I agree with you, Per. I don't know I thought he should have pulled the trigger on that a little bit because the 2 straight calls right there on the outside corner. But I also thought he may have gone inside an off-speed pitch too. Watching the potato sack races.
You just kind of hate to sit there and watch 3 straight fastballs go by for called strikes.
Yeah. No, you're right. It's frustrating. And again, we were mentioning this earlier, John, in case you didn't know this, can we get a call to race? I feel it's just like girl in pink hair and so-and-so. And yeah, so next time I should do that. That was a missed opportunity. So right now it's Gardetta coming in for the SeaWolves. Gardetta on the year he's been all over the system. He's been in kind of a system arm trying to find his way. And on the season, he overall his record 1-2 with the 3.36 ERA, 58 strikeouts and 56 innings pitched with a WHIP of 1.14. And yeah, so he's been all over the minor league system. Majority of the time he has spent in West Michigan, where he was a 1-1. Where he posted a 1-1 record with an ERA of 1.76, all pretty much out of the bullpen. And he was in Toledo for 1 game earlier this year, and we thought that was interesting, considering all the arms that the Tigers have in their system. But nevertheless, Gardetta has been pitching well. He is a native of Mexico, of Ciudad Juarez in Chihuahua. Well, forget, I'm not even trying to pronounce it. Screw it. I'm Hispanic, but I have my limits. All right, So first pitch. Rips it down the line past
Reese Olson.
Myers just falls there. And Schmidt going all the way to third base. Myers having a hard time coming up with the ball. And Schmidt, on what looked like to be just a single, goes all the way to third with a triple. He does some sort of weird thing with his hand towards his groin. And Richard has a runner on third with nobody out. What were you going to say, John? I'm sorry.
No, I just saw Reese Olson. He pitched pretty good today.
Yeah, he struggled a little bit. It was kind of nibbling a little bit there, but I don't know what happened. I don't know if Myers misread that or what there, Uper.
Yeah, looked like he overran it, perhaps.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
That was a first pitch too.
Then he couldn't pick it up at the wall either.
Yeah, that's So they score it as advances to third on throwing error by left field Myers. So that's how they score it in your book. If you have a book at home right now, I'm not sure if you are. And the batter is Schmidt. He is 1 for 4 on the day. He is the team's best hitter, by the way. So this is a guy you can't really afford to get behind on.
So it was an E7 if you're scoring at home.
Thank you, E7.
And if you're scoring at home, good for you.
Pitch inside.
Congratulations.
The pitch inside, strike 1. And like I said, we're gonna stick around for this at bat at least. We're gonna go back and have this game in the background too. But I couldn't. This is kind of a little of a mixture of a watch party here. Our data comes to the set, and the pitch. Oh, it almost gets away. Nice block there by Crouch, and go to 2-1 here to Schmidt. Ooh, in terms of prospect wise, Casey Schmidt. On the year, 20 home runs and batting .294, and that's between 2 levels. And Chris Brown joining us now.
Hey.
Chris Brown joining us in the watch party. Chris,
how's it going?
A swing and a miss there. 2-2 on Casey Schmidt.
We got Gardetta out there. Who's that pitching?
That's Gardetta pitching. I don't know if did you miss that Dave Myers play?
I missed. I saw that there was a single and an error. I missed it.
Yeah, he totally misplayed that there. But here comes this set 2-2 pitch. Again, a little wild and inside, and Crouch does a nice good job there. Or does a good job of getting that ball, and we go to a full count. So Schmidt is on third.
This fellow is all over the place.
Yeah.
How old is Gardea?
He's 23.
Oh, so okay.
Yeah.
Do we draft him? Sign him?
International.
No, he's an international signing, I think, from Mexico, right?
Yep.
Is he Mexican? Yeah.
Yep. Oh,
Ed Casey Schmidt. He's a two-way player.
That went off his hand. Is that what it was in that foul?
I'm not sure what happened there, but wait, that's Tristan Peters.
No,
Schmidt's on third, right?
Oh, yeah. That's it. My bad. Yeah, Casey Schmidt's on third, and Peters at bat. My bad. Yeah, there you go. He has struck out. He's 0 for 3, so nice 0 for 4 here would be nice. Yeah, Walter, he got promoted on Tuesdays. Josh Crouch did. The payoff pitch. Swing another foul back to the right, and we started looking at 3-2.
There's not like necessarily a polite way to say this, but today was basically Erie was down to kind of their secondary relievers, if you will. I don't think.
I was wondering about that.
Because Alvarado was the starter yesterday, right, or the opener, they can't use him. They use Brendan White. I think Adam Wolf came in for the 11th, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So those are 3 of their better relievers. You got Andrew Magno. We may see him next inning. I don't know. He's a lefty, so it's kind of tough. Yeah, I'm sure Alvarez wants to have him face more lefties if he can. I'm really annoyed with Diego Rincones.
Me too. That was a BS hit. The payoff pitch struck
yeah,
him out and got the outside corner. And Gardea gets Peters now, who's 0 for 4 on the day. Big clutch strikeout there. We got 1 out in the.
Huge.
I'm sorry, Chris. What'd you say?
Oh, nothing. Yeah, it's just Rincones. He's had like a half dozen hits like that this week. He's
baby.
He's just like a marshmallow up there in the box, but he's got the great back control and it's annoying. So yeah, I assume they got the infield in here.
And it's the catcher up. That would be Brandon Martirano, who was also North Carolina graduate.
Speaking of North Carolina, have we discussed Danny Soretti's batting stance at all? Did you guys touch on that?
I was looking at it. It's pretty funky.
Yeah.
It's a little. Yeah, there's a little Sean Casey. There's a little Ed Grimley in there.
Strike.
Ed Grimley.
Yep, Crouch is catching where Van Gogh.
I think De La Cruz is catching today.
Oh, De La Cruz is. I'm sorry. Yeah, Crouch is a DH. And you know what? The entire time.
About 11 innings yesterday.
Yeah, that's right. I kept saying Crouch was making all those great stops, and De La Cruz. Nice pitch there.
Look like I'll be biased.
Yes.
A combination of bad pitch and bad swing. Or good pitch, bad swing. I thought that pitch had some fade action towards the end, but was it tailing action, right? Or am I just imagining that?
I think so.
Well,
if I was better prepared to do play-by-play, I think I would have prepared a little better. But
yeah, but no, I mean it's So I'm sure you've already touched on Bowie.
Yeah.
My apologies for being late to the party tonight, but
that's okay. We still haven't started the show.
Blowing out Akron, so on the one hand, it's kind of putting an end to the Rubber Ducks. But it sure would be nice if the SeaWolves could pull this one out and keep that, 1-game advantage.
Big pitch here coming up. 222 hitter, and he steps off the mound.
It froze for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Walter, in the YouTube chat, you missed one hell of sack race, Chris.
Well, you guys, people who weren't watching earlier, missed a thrilling inning with
Rock him out.
Yeah.
Nice pitch
that
there.
Spider going again. Huge, 2 huge strikeouts for Gardea.
Yeah, Gardea. From here, he's the illest mother effort from here to Gardea. Sorry, I'm going to use that PC Boy reference.
Almost getting Myers off the hook here. One more out.
We'll see. I mean, it was back in the 5th inning when Reese Olson walked the two leadoff batters and almost got out of it. He struck out 2 guys, and then eventually it came back to haunt him. So you hope that there's one more out, really,
Yeah, so we're gonna like I said, I don't know, show meeting. Do you guys want to continue to do the watch party and then get to the show, or how do you guys want to do this?
We can finish the inning.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine. We can do a little bit of both. Like,
we can do a little bit. Yeah.
there's a pitching change. We can pop in and talk about real, big league baseball, or there's in between innings.
Yeah, definitely. All right, cool. So after this inning, we'll start the proper show. Then we'll have to, if something happens in the game and we randomly stop, and there we go.
But no, I was saying, you see the Sabra. Apparently, this is just the hummus broadcast. There was a whole inning where they were just talking to, like, the woman who's in charge of sustainability with Sabra, and it was one of those, like, sometimes people who come in and are guests understand the job, right? They understand that they should let the play-by-play person describe what's happening in the game,
right?
And sometimes they don't. Like right now, if Raj were doing play-by-play, I'd be talking right over this pitching change, but the Sabra woman was just going on and on about sustainability while the SeaWolves were tying the game. And then she made an unfortunate error of saying that I guess a lot of Sabra is made like right in Richmond. And she said, the best hummus comes right from your back door, she said.
John's face. John's face.
That's a beautiful thing.
Oh, man. Oh, that was
The olive tamponade hummus is never going to taste the same now.
Yeah, Sabra is delicious. When
Sabra is a quality product.
So who do we have coming in? Did they bring in Magno?
Yeah, that's Magno coming in now. The lefty out of
the lefty. Yeah, this is
Ohio State University.
Playoffs, basically, right? I mean, this is playoffs, so they're. And of course, with Magno, we're talking about. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Rush.
I was gonna say, I think he's gotten better. I don't know, like I'm starting to come around to him a little bit. He's been really effective.
Well, you mean there's parts of him that you could see him working in the big leagues. It's it's got that over the top delivery that's kind of unusual for a lefty, and he's got potential above average breaking ball. He could get outs at the big league level.
So on the year, by the way, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was say on the year he is 2-2 on the year with the ERA 2.50, 65 strikeouts and 52 innings pitched with a WHIP of 1.28. He was pretty much I don't want to say he was pretty much closing down in Toledo, or excuse me, West Michigan, where he posted an ERA 2.37 in 49 innings pitched, struck out 62. That's the number that stands out. And he allowed just one home run over 49 innings pitched. And so far in Erie, just 2 innings of work, 2 runs, 3 hits. Excuse me. Oh, I had that right. 2 hits, 3 runs, 2 of them earned, and 3 strikeouts so far. So he's only got 1 walk. And there's some things, again, being a lefty in the way that it's over top delivery, you're absolutely right. There's a lot of stuff to like about him.
Here's a hot take. Pitcher's warmed up in the bullpen, right?
Yeah.
Why does he need 8 pitches at the mound?
Oh.
You got to get your bearings. You're pitching. You got to get the feel for the actual mound. So
can you do that in 3 pitches?
Pitch hitter.
How about in 3 pitches? Let's do that in 3.
Got a good point.
So did they bring in a pinch hitter here, or would they just turn this guy around?
It's a pinch hitter. It's Carter
Aldretti.
Aldretti, yeah. Sounds like a
I
race
assume the son of old Mike Aldretti. We have to look that up.
No, different spelling.
Oh,
that's a ball high. 1-1 here on Aldretti. Hitting 214 on the year for the Flying Squirrels. Bottom of the 8th, 1-1 count here. Or excuse me, tie game, 1-1 count here on Aldretti. The pitch, swing and a miss. That's a good look.
Aldretti from Arizona State, former teammate of Gage Workman and Spencer Torkelson, among others.
Nice.
15th round pick.
Who was that shortstop that everybody liked too from that class? That was the other.
Well, there's Alika Williams.
Alika Williams, that's what I'm thinking of.
And then Drew Swift was also in the infield, and he's up in Lansing, or he has been in Lansing.
The ball outside. 2-2. Man, if Mango could get this guy out, this is some, again, great bullpen management by Gabe Alvarez here. I think the way he's been managing the bullpen the entire series has been really well. The 2-2 pitch. Foul tip and struck him out. Nice.
Yeah, it's nice. I checked the app is actually ahead of the
You son
video
of a-
stream.
you son of a bitch. You son of a bitch. I was like, you son of a bitch. No. Good stuff. All right. So
Yeah.
go to the top of the 955 and let's start the show properly. Welcome to Woodward Tigers here at woodwardsports.com. I'm Ray Steele. Excited me. It's Chris Uper and John. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts, and of course at woodwardsports.com. Before we start the show, and I'm a person who this is who I am. We've always said, leave your review, good, bad, and different, and I'm a man of my word. This week we got a review, and it's not the greatest review, actually. I'll be perfectly honest, but I wanted to share this review because among people, I can take criticism. I am very open to that, if you guys well know. And this week, this is the review that came in, and that was off speed there, Jeremy.
Whoa! Wait a minute.
Whoa.
That was just a sex crime. That
Here
dude
we go.
just committed assault.
What the
Sorry.
hell's up with his hair, dude? Look at his hair. What is that?
He looks
That's
like the
shaved.
gym teacher from Beavis and Butthead.
What the hell's wrong with you? All right, anyway.
Sorry to interrupt your actual seriousness. Anyway.
Oh man. Okay, so the review title, and see if I'm gonna pull it up here. So let me see if I can pull a screenshot of it, or yeah, I have it up here. So we're going off the game for just a moment. We'll be back on that for a second, but I wanted to it just makes it easier so I don't have to read and do two things at once, because that's hard. All right, so here's the review that we got from at NY Film Goer via Apple Podcast. Barely tolerable. Very little meaningful baseball talk. Poorly produced, annoying, and meaningless sound effects. They're good, the bad, the ugly segment. It's designed very negative. And that's not me talking. That's the way it was written. And their behind the number segment, it's random. Would not listen at all. We're W-E apostrophe R-E. I not a huge Tigers fan. You can listen to the first half hour, hear only a few minutes of insightful baseball talk. It's a shame because they're very knowledgeable, care about the team and the game, and they know a lot about the minors. Such a waste. Can't please them all. The poorly production part, I have an exception about, but that's...
Well, first off, thank you for listening.
Yeah, thank you for listening. We really
anybody who listens, thank you.
Yeah.
Yep.
And people are gonna, not enjoy some of the formats that we do and some of the things that we like to talk about. And that's kind of America.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right.
The only thing I would say is, and yes, yeah, we appreciate all reviews. The only thing I would say is it would be nice to get more constructive. Like, if you don't like what we do, say something you'd rather have us do. That's all.
Yeah.
Because we're open to suggestion, and we think we've got a decent format here, but we've done things before. We had a irresponsible speculation segment for a little while. We've done some other things.
Yeah,
we talked about me criticizing the Queen at the end of every show if we have to.
Yeah. We had some comments about the Queen again. It was all good fun, and But like I said, the guy's entitled his opinion. The only part I didn't really like about it was the poorly produced part. I take exception to that because I think I worked my ass off to get good sounding quality on this, but that's it.
It may just be my microphone causing the issue.
Whatever. What are you going to do? All right. So tonight we're going to be talking a little bit about a big debate that was on Twitter today about Comerica Park and raising the fences because Riley Green got hosed. The Tigers series against Houston, the upcoming series against the White Sox, and we're just going to take a look around baseball as some teams are already in the postseason. Looks like the Dodgers have clinched already. And we'll talk about Seattle. There's some really good numbers on Seattle that I wanted to get to, some of the rotation stuff. But as far as the Tigers go this week, let's start with the Comerica Park moving in the fences debate that continues to be a hot button topic because Riley Green got hosed on a 420 foot out, something like that.
424.
And
Torque had one day before.
Yeah, and that's when I asked Hinch about that. I was asking Hinch about some of the hard hit contact he made, and he just said that's his baseball. And that's all he said about it. And really, he's absolutely right. And some of the debate, both sides of the debate, you can see where the dimensions are favorable towards pitching. And then, like, again, we see some of these long outs. But gentlemen, I feel like Lynn Henning is the Pied Piper of this and says we need to change it. They have Tony Paul from the Detroit News saying, "No, we're fine." And I don't. I think this is the only reason why this has come up so much recently is because the Tigers' offensive numbers have been bad, historically bad. We're talking about right now they're on pace to be the fourth worst offense of all time in 100 years. And yeah, there's a error there. Is he gonna go? See if he's gonna go there.
Oh,
nice.
Ooh, we got it.
Wow, that was aggressive.
Yeah.
Navigado?
Number 13. Is that Navigado? Navigado?
Navigado himself to second right there.
That was a good play. That was bold, but that was a bad hop there, and yeah, he's not happy with it. But no, nevertheless, John, I'll start with you because you're the youngest, and the reason why I'm asking you for this opinion is because you don't have the history of Tiger Stadium behind you at all. You have no prevalent history of this whatsoever. So Comerica Park's the only thing you know. Do you like the dimensions there or not?
Just about like, do you think they should move in the fence or not?
Yeah. Do you like it the way it is now, or should they move it in?
I mean, I don't have a problem with it. Something I was thinking about today. I know this is kind of unrealistic, but I would like to see eventually all the stadiums have the same dimensions. I think having different dimensions in different stadiums, like you don't see that with football or baseball or hockey. It's all in the same dimensions. I think baseball, especially with me personally, I don't think all the home runs are great for the game. I like more action on the field. I feel like balls in play, are better for the game instead of just, the three true outcomes of strikeout, walk, and home runs. So for me personally, I like it. I like seeing, balls hit the gaps and, triples and doubles and stuff. So I personally don't have a problem with it. I like that we play in a pitcher's park.
Okay, that's fair.
Mm-hmm.
Uper, what about you?
Well, I know, Henning has been hitting on that topic for, this isn't a new thing. I remember him writing something about Craig Monroe back in like 2007.
He brought that up today too, Uper.
Yeah, and so this has been a while. And people are going to go back and forth. A lot depends on what kind of offense the Tigers have. When the Tigers were winning games from 2009 to 2013, it didn't matter what the field was like. As long as they had the roster to win. Yeah. I think any changes I would make, maybe make the fences a little lower out in right center. And if they wanted to bring it in a little bit, I could see that. But I don't mind the triples. The triples alley works for me. It's the same for both teams. You win on the field, you got, and I don't see Chris Ilitch spending really to simply to move the fences in. I'd be surprised if that happens.
What about you, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this before. It only comes up. I mean, Lynn will bring it up whenever, but for most of us, it only comes up when a player we like gets robbed of a hit. But you can look. I just looked. I just did a quick search on Baseball Savant. How many 410-foot outs have been at Comerica in the StatCast era? And there's 60 of them. And 32 of them were by other players on other teams, and 28 were by Tigers. So, the Tigers are +4 in terms of home runs there, probably. So it like, I don't know what it is. Like, yeah, okay, Tigers hitters should have a few more home runs, but it evens out. It really does. There's not some great, like, unfair thing happening here. This isn't like Baltimore's left field. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. The discussion, it's annoying because that would have been an awesome moment for Riley Green, a 2-run go-ahead home run in the 8th inning. But what did Hinch say? That's baseball, man. Like, yeah, sometimes you hit a 110-mile-an-hour line drive right at somebody. Should we, I don't know. It's just, it's just a talking point that I don't think needs to really exist. It would be fun if they did something cool with the outfield, but mostly just because.
I just think if they could lower a fence somewhere to create more catches over the fence. That would be fun. I always love that. That's my favorite play in baseball. That would be cool. But otherwise, there get more talent on offense, and all these problems go away. Okay.
Yeah. And as far as having the dimensions all the same, I disagree with that, John, only because I feel like that's what makes baseball baseball. I mean, for example, the old Polo Grounds had this strange layout where I believe it was in right field. It was the poles all like, was it Uper? It was a fly ball.
I think it was 270 down both lines, and then 480 in center.
And I think the bullpen was in play.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
right center field.
It was in center field.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then anybody, and that the thing, like, I remember this was something for Andre Dawson, for example. When Dawson was playing the Expos at Olympic Stadium, one of the things, the reason why he was so happy to get out of there is because the AstroTurf out there was killing his knees. He couldn't play on there anymore. And so a lot of guys were able to get those AstroTurf hits and what have you. And I agree. Look, I agree with the fact that he should be rewarded for 420 foot out, but there's two other stadiums, I believe, too, would hold that ball in too. But I mean, I think of even Oakland too. Oakland's got that, and Jeremy Anderson on our YouTube chat would probably know this about too. But Oakland's also like a giant cavern out there. They have that strange layout too. They have all that foul ground that they have, and so that gives the A's an advantage. But I think and I think what Uper said, and then we have a guy here in our chat, Stop It, said lack of good hitters goes a long way, and Green is a good hitter. Not saying that he's not. Let's just clear the air here. But it also helps too when you can have other players in your lineup. Because right now, I think Riley Green's the only one with the OPS plus over 100 right now. Just as a heads up there.
I think Haas might have it. Too,
no, you're right. Haas has got 113. I'm sorry.
But, John would have liked to have grown up in the 70s when we had all the cookie cutter stadiums.
Yeah,
and,
cookie cutter.
Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, all the domes. I mean, they were all perfectly symmetrical. They were, the fences were half moons.
Mm-hmm.
there were no funky dimensions in the stadiums then.
I don't know if you saw the article today, but there's a Gage Workman strikeout. Jason Stark wrote an article that not even all the infields in baseball are the same.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Nobody had really thought about it, but
I should read that. Yeah, no.
The like the infield dimensions, the depth, like how deep the dirt goes back, it's not uniform, and it needs to be now because it's going to be codified next year that the players have to have their feet in the dirt, so it's got to be like the same, or else somebody's just going to put their dirt out to center field. Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, they could just draw a line too, I suppose.
And that that kind of ties into the question we got on YouTube too, is from R1 versus J4. How do y'all feel about the new infield alignment on the defensive rule for next year? That ties into that, right, Chris? I mean, in terms of making sure everything's equal.
Yeah, I don't think it's a huge deal. I think a lot of the kind of hits that have been taken away by the shift are balls up the middle, right? That used to be hits all the time, just hard singles up, grounders up the middle. And those will still get taken away because they'll just station a guy an inch to the left or right of second base, right? The big change, I think, is because they're forcing guys to have you have to stay in the dirt. It's those hitters like Alex Avila's of the world who kind of specialized in hitting the short line drive to right field. That those guys might get a few more hits, but it wouldn't shock me if we start seeing basically teams play one of their outfielders right there and another one deeper. And, it's just so I don't know. We've seen it in the minors. I don't think it's made a huge difference whatsoever. Baseball America even did a whole, article about that and said that the batting average on balls and plays hasn't changed by more than like 5 points in any league that had mandated the shift rules. So I don't think it's a big deal.
No, I don't think so either. I think what's going to be what will be interesting too is how teams will find a way to adjust to it. How long will it take before teams adjust to it?
I wonder, as Chris was mentioning, since they can't take away those hits up the middle, really, when that pipe, for lack of a better word, that pie piece section of the field will be chalked off where they can't be in there behind second base, because that's really the only way to affect those liners up the middle, is to keep people from standing in that area.
Oh, we got a bunt.
Oh, was he out? That looked close to me.
Apparently, we also lost a follower and a listener. Again,
What's that?
no, we just lost a follower and a listener.
Oh. What? How did you tell that?
Well, I go into my Twitter account and somebody in the chat. So
Yeah,
again, I mean, no one was laughing, but okay. Anyway, whatever. It's over. As far as the question goes, it was 440 in Tiger Stadium, or it was 420?
No, it was 440.
It was 440. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 440. That's what I thought. Yeah.
We just have
By the
another
flagpole,
bunt
right? By the flagpole, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Flagpole is in play.
But yeah, it was pretty short and left and right, especially with the overhang in right field. That so I don't know. I mean, like, it's just one of those things you don't notice when a home run down the line in Comerica would be an out at Wrigley Field. You know, and you could, I don't know, those were like 330 feet. It's not that big of a deal. I don't know. But it's something to talk about, I guess, in a season where they're going to lose 100 games. So we've got a real big moment again here for the Erie bullpen. A bunt single for Brett Auerbach, a first baseman, I think. Didn't see that one coming. They bunt him over second. I'll be curious to see if Erie gets through this, who they'll pitch in the 10th and 11th. I was speculating they might pitch Carlos Guzman last night, who is another one of the guys they just brought up from West Michigan at the end of the season.
Yeah.
Ooh, stole third.
They are people. It's as far as
That's a
West
risky move,
Michigan,
yeah.
all back again. That guy was a terror earlier. So, but as far as this Tiger series goes with Houston, before we get to our segments, look, Houston is. You look at Houston's rotation, and the Tigers looked overmatched a little bit. But in their defense, look, I think that based off what we saw in against Houston, they have played far worse. So of course, no Justin Verlander. He was still coming off 7-0 victory on Monday. Was just pure domination, pure Houston doing their thing.
Ooh,
And-
Soretti with a diving grab.
Is that two out? Is that it out?
That's
Nice.
2 out,
Yep.
yeah.
So
Sorry.
yeah, so Valdez came in there and did his thing, and he's been that rotation. It was something that Hinch talked about too, how they built out their rotation internationally through the farm system, and they've been able to stay healthy, and that's what the Tigers are trying to do. And unfortunately, they have not been able to succeed. And he mentioned that. He mentioned the parallels between Houston and Detroit a little bit with that. And then I thought Tuesday's game, despite the 6-3 loss, that was a well entertaining game. That was Hunter Brown's debut, the St. Clair Shores, I believe he's from. Pitched a really good game. And the Tigers, again, offensively speaking, that was 3 runs off Houston. We're not gonna. It's not a moral victory kind of thing. They still lost, but nevertheless, as you said, Uper, I saw some fight with the team, and then yesterday they lost 2-1. The White Sox are coming to town this weekend, and the White Sox will not have Tony La Russa, as he had a stint put in his heart, I believe it was.
Stent, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's it's been wild. That was another. I think Ken Rosenthal wrote an open letter to Tony La Russa. It was kind of reminiscent of earlier this year where he wrote about how Alavila was on his way out, basically. How the rebuild wasn't working. Like Ken Rosenthal gets dispatched to write these. It's not necessarily his piece because he's very respected, but it's like, he's the one who comes in and adds the death blow. Because
we'll call it a pre-bituary.
Yeah, like the White Sox have been playing much better under the Miguel Cairo. Is that who it is? The bench coach. And that's one of those things. Like I've always argued that it's hard to tell what the influence that managers have, but you do see it sometimes. You saw it with the Phillies this year, right? As soon as Girardi was gone, the Phillies started playing well. Like I can imagine how like having an old school crusty manager who sucks can make it annoying to play baseball.
Yeah, didn't he get like mad at Tim Anderson? Wasn't that like last year for celebrating? Yeah.
Yeah, he's gotten mad at everything. In that Rosenthal article, they're talking about how like he and I forgot is it who's his hitting coach? Frank
Menachino.
Is that
Frank
Yeah.
Menachino.
how they're like actively telling players to hit the ball the other way for singles and not try to hit home runs, like, which is one of those things where I like okay, the players really listening to that, but apparently they are. So I don't know. So we have Guzman here, don't we?
Yeah, it looks like Guzman, young test for Guzman. So, but yeah, the White Sox are coming to town, and they've played better as of late. We talked about this. I remember we were saying a couple weeks ago, are the White Sox still in it? Technically, they are. They're four back of Cleveland. And John, I don't know about you, but in terms of the White Sox been playing better since Lewis has gone, if there's anything you've noticed about the White Sox lately?
Well, I mean, they've just been better. They actually beat Cleveland today. They had just a one game makeup today. They beat them 8-2. I know Lance Lynn he's been completely, like, he's turned his season around completely. He's been great for them. We said Elvis Andrus was on the White Sox. He's actually hit for them pretty well. Moncada, he had 4 hits today. He's a guy that has really not gotten it going this season. And Eloy Jimenez has really come on strong down the stretch. So, I mean, they're in it with, a couple weeks to go. They're only, I believe, 3 games out of it. So, yeah, I think it's now or never for them, but I think they're right in the thick of things right now.
Yeah, I agree. They're looking really good. Eloy Jimenez is he's basically morphed into Roy Hobbs here for the last week or so.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, every time he swung the bat, something happened. Something good for them happened. And, he's kind of, if he's the guy they always thought he'd be, even for just a short stretch this month, they got a shot. There's no question. Jose Abreu hit his first home run in a month the other night. So they need him to get going as well. But, given who they're chasing, if they can come into Detroit and knock off the Tigers, and they've certainly had their successes in Comerica Park the last few years, I think they can ride this managerial change and the hot streak that's come with it, and maybe pull that division off. And I would have said that back in late July when they looked dead in the water.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they made it an interesting race for sure.
And I think having a different voice in the clubhouse does help. So, yeah, whether it's the clubhouse, whether it's they're changing the lineup, whatever the case is, I think it's going to help them. And for the Tigers, really, one of the things they came up to over the week was, in terms of Spencer Torkelson, Riley Green, they've been hitting better the ball. They've been hitting the ball better as of late, but at this point, too, it's just kind of a positional tryout thing. Ryan Kreidler, I want to ask you guys before we move on to our segment. And as far as ruining some chances, Jeremy, I would like to see that happen. But defensively speaking, what do you guys think of Ryan Kreidler out in the field so far?
Real positive so far.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. I don't think it's a huge surprise to us, right? That we saw him. You went and saw him in Iowa last year. We've seen him in the minors a lot. Like, he's a legit defender on the left side. I think he's a plus, maybe more defender at third base, and he can handle shortstop. So it's like, yeah, there's a lot to like there with the glove. Just got to get the bat going a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, certainly better defensively than Candelario, I feel like.
Yeah, and I think Candelario is kind of on the way out, really. So, anyways, so on that note, go ahead, Uper.
Well, I was saying Kreidler just matches up with I saw him play 4 times last year, and I saw him this year as well when they came through in April. He looks very smooth defensively with a rocket of an arm. That was my impression in 7 games, and he's done nothing so far this month to take me off of that position. So I think for defensively, he's a major leaguer. Offensively, again, I've said it before, I don't want to dwell on it too much, but he's had a broken hand this year. We don't know what that means for his offense in this year. If he's still feeling any weakness in that hand, who knows? So, whatever he can do this year offensively, fine. I'm really just glad he's kind of passing the eyeball test on defense, and I think he's got a shot to be on the roster next year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, probably as a middle infielder off the bench, I could see that.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably his ultimate role. but I think they're going to give him enough. I mean, he's a guy that you give, I think, a couple hundred at bats to, and make him a regular for a little while just to see if he can handle it. But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of fun having the lineup with these young guys in it. It's that wears off eventually, but for now, I'm enjoying watching Carpenter and Kreidler and Green and Torkelson go out there. And Torkelson had that big game where with 4 balls hit over 105 miles an hour, no hits.
Oh, wow.
But
Oh boy.
that's why you care about the process over the results sometimes, right? Like you keeping the ball 105 miles an hour, good things are going to happen to you. So that was a good sign, I think.
Yeah, and like I said, I think that the biggest thing, unfortunately, one of the things we're able to see right now is the play of Tucker Barnhart, who has not been hitting well and is continuing to struggle a little bit at the plate. And as far as the catching solution goes right now, I mean, Eric Haas is out there, and we were talking about his pop time, his offensive numbers, and so that kind of, I think one of the things going into the next couple of weeks here is you have a situation now. You have Josh Crouch in Double-A, you have Dingler in Double-A. Both are not going to be ready. Jake Rogers is going to be. You're going to give Jake Rogers a second look, but as far as catching goes, that was a bad pitch or bad swing there. Sorry, I got distracted there. But no, as far as the Tigers go, catching wise, it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to play this out here in the next couple of weeks. We know with Rogers being, I don't know where Rogers is going to fit in here, but it is good to see the Tigers have some depth there.
It's really going to be interesting to see how they approach next year. At the big league level. I mean, I think obviously Haas is, at least cementing himself as a backup, and a backup who has the capability of having these hot streaks where he's much more than a backup. But what are they going to do with Barnhart? Are they going to bring in kind of another placeholder just to take up space until one of these young catchers is plausibly ready? Or do they think Jake Rogers is able to plug right in next spring, even though he's been the big mystery? Where the heck is he right now?
Yeah, and that's a good question. And again, I know that one of the things we did talk to Hinch about was we asked about where he was in terms of the rehab process, but it doesn't look like he was going to be anything close to being ready, because that's a common question that was coming up all the time, is the status of Rogers, and they decided just to shut him down for the season. So, but yeah, and he did do that. He took $100 away from Spencer Torkelson too. So there was a bet with that. So, which is pretty funny. But now it's time to go inside the numbers. All right, so I apologize for being a little scattered. That was just it's been a show. I think doing these live streams, by the way, is a little distracting. I'm not gonna lie. So it is now time for inside the numbers. 5-5 here in the 10th inning, between the second straight day in a row that the SeaWolves and the Flying Squirrels have gone in extra innings at the Diamond. John, what is your inside the number?
Okay, so as we know, yesterday Joey Wentz started for the Tigers. Joey Wentz has been pretty solid for the Tigers over his last couple starts, but a number I found interesting was 27, and that was the number of foul balls that the Astros had against Joey Wentz yesterday. Wentz threw 91 pitches in 4 innings, so almost a third of his pitches were fouled off. So what I took from that was obviously we know the Astros are a great offensive team, one of the best in baseball, but I think Wentz really has not been able to develop that put away pitch, that go-to pitch to put away hitters. So that stat was pretty eye-opening to me for a guy in Joey Wentz who, if he wants to, prove he can be a part of this rotation, he's going to find that pitch that he can rely on to get, outs. And I don't know if he has that yet.
That's a good one. Chris, what's your inside number? What just happened? Oh, he's Clint Clips. Okay, sorry. Uper, what is your inside number?
Hey, my number is 25 and 25. We talked about it just before the show, but that's what I actually had down, was for Julio Rodriguez of the Seattle Mariners. The rookie who was off to an extremely slow start this year was famously getting a lot of quote unquote bad calls on strike three from a lot of umpires. Is now an all-star and one of the up-and-coming young stars in the game.
He got paid.
Got to 25 homers and 25 steals this week. First rookie to do that in quite some time. You know, it's just when you watch the kid, I try to catch at least a handful of his at-bats every week because I'm up late and they're out in the West Coast. So really, you can see the progression as the summer has worn on. He's getting a little more patient all the time. They're pitching him more carefully, but he's still finding his pitch and driving it. The guy is such an athlete. To watch him run in the outfield or, to turn and burn around second and going from first to third, the guy's the real deal. I think we're going to be watching him for a long time. Now, I've said that before about Ronald Acuna, and Acuna's kind of plateaued. So obviously anything is possible. But I'll tell you, if I could start a team from scratch right now and you gave me anybody, I don't know if I go with Julio Rodriguez, but he's certainly one who I would give a lot of thought to.
Yeah, because some of the numbers he's putting is historically awesome. And you can't really, like I said, we have to do a deep dive on when that happens among the rookie. But so my number this week is a 1.69, and that is the Mariners starting rotation in their over the last 20 games. So that's Robbie Ray, George Kirby, Marco Gonzalez, Logan Gilbert, and Luis Castillo. Excuse me. So it's a 1.68 over the last 20 games, which sets a franchise record. The previous record was 1.69 in 20 games, span from August 22nd to September 19th, 2001. So that's how good the Luis Castillo pickup has been. And look, guys, I mean, the rotation's been good all year for Seattle, but that is the reason why you trade your prospects for results like that. So that's my insider number for the week. Chris, what is yours?
Yeah, sorry about that. I was just trying to get the highlight of that go-ahead run there. Mine is 5. Is the number of teams that have gotten at least 2 WAR already out of the 2019 draft. Now, the top team there is the Braves with Michael Harris at 4.4 and Vaughn Grissom, Riley Green's teammate, at 1. Shea Langoliers is actually a slight negative, but they used him to get Matt Olson, so I think they're doing okay there. The number 2 team is the Orioles, who of course had the first overall pick, and they, Adley Rutschman and Gunnar Henderson have done quite well for them. Stowers is a little bit negative, but and then the third team is the Reds at 4.1 WAR with Nick Lodolo and Graham Ashcraft. Lodolo's kind of having a quiet, really good rookie year. I think I saw something earlier today. He's got like the 5th highest strikeout rate ever for a rookie, with at least 80 innings. Spencer Strider's number 1 right now, but the Tigers, our Detroit Tigers, are number 4 on that list with 2.8 WAR. This is, of course, according to Baseball Reference, led by Riley Green at 1.1, but Kreidler is already at 0.6 because of that defense. Carpenter's at 0.3, and Bo Brisky is at 0.8. So it's kind of looking like one of their most promising draft classes in years, and there's still 3 or 4 guys who they may come up in the next year or two from there. So a nice start for them. It's 4th, and for the record, the 5th team is the Royals with Bobby Witt Jr., that Massey kid, and Pasquantino. On the opposite end of the spectrum, the Marlins are one of the few teams who have had 4 guys come up along with the Tigers, and they're at negative 1.9. All 4 guys that they brought up have been negative WAR players. So not a great draft for them so far.
One of the things that as we're watching Erie, by the way, it's funny, between the Marlins, by the way, AJ Ladwig. Remember, AJ Ladwig was with the SeaWolves, made an appearance this year for Miami. So I wanted to throw that out there because I was thinking about the SeaWolves at the time. But the SeaWolves have been getting some really good contributions from, what was that draft class you mentioned, Chris? Was it the 2019? Yeah, 2019 one.
2019, yeah.
And again, it's another signing too. We were talking about this too. Was Elvis Alvarado, who has been pretty. I mean, you look at his numbers on the surface. Yeah, as far as a Rule 5 signing goes, though, I mean, that's a good find for him, and kind of makes you forget about the guy who sat on the toilet. Wind up. Who's the guy they picked up from? Who's the guy from Baltimore?
Oh
they
God,
had?
yeah, I forgot about that dude.
Ruben Garcia.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. You guys
Yeah,
remember
I don't
Ruben
know,
Garcia?
man.
Anybody in the chat? I'm dating myself, or not dating myself, but John's probably, what the hell are you guys talking about? John, if I'll have to show you his wind up, but it looked like he was sitting on a toilet when he went to wind up. He kind of like sat, and the way he would do, like it was.
Yeah.
I'll have to show it to you tomorrow, man. It's pretty trippy, but nevertheless, yeah, that's Ruben Garcia, who I think Houston picked him up too.
Yeah, I think you're right. Hey,
Yeah.
but Raheli, who did Gabe Alvarez call here to help out in the 10th inning?
Call the Wolf.
Yeah, he sure did.
Call the Wolf.
That word.
Adam Wolf.
Yeah.
Been one of the key pieces for the SeaWolves down the stretch, and check out the article that Raheli wrote about him.
Yeah. Again, he is a different pitcher. By the way, Ruben Garcia is an independent ball now.
Interesting.
It was in Double A.
It didn't work out, I guess.
Oh, did not work out. Yeah.
Oh no, that's unfortunate.
Oh, come on. Oh, he fell. He fell.
Mm.
He fell. Oh, wait.
Did they
Oh
get
my
him?
goodness.
Did they get him? No, he's safe. How did they
man.
blow that? Now there's men on first and second, probably, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, a rundown.
First and third.
Oh, geez.
I'm sure right now Greg Gagne is having chest
Yeah.
pains right now.
Like what? So that he gets a grounder off of Wolf's leg, goes into foul territory. They have the guy stuck between third and home, and they don't throw it.
Wonder if the
For some
ball got
reason.
stuck in his glove or something. He
Yeah.
couldn't get the ball out of his glove.
Oh, is that what happened? Okay.
I don't know. I don't understand why he held it.
They're conferencing on the mound right now. So, by the way, for everybody that's listening to the podcast side of things, we are watching the Erie SeaWolves play the Richmond Flying Squirrels. It is 6-5 Erie, bottom of the 10th inning, but the Flying Squirrels have two runners on, one runners at first and third, with a runner of course starting from second over the third. And yeah, this has been an interesting game so far. It's the second straight day in a row that the SeaWolves and Squirrels have played extra innings, so both teams are exhausted. I'm sure of it at this point. But no, yeah, the is this a punch hitter, I believe?
It looks like Jacob Hayward, Jason Hayward's brother.
Oh, really? I didn't know. Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, it was Giants. I actually didn't know he had a brother.
I mean, either.
No. But nevertheless, so yeah, this is a situation we're watching right now. But either way, all right, let's go into the good, the bad, and the ugly, which is designed to be bad, apparently, because that's not in the name. All right, John, you can lead us off here as Erie's going to turn to no. Was that deliberate slide? To break it up there? Okay. Anyway, doesn't matter. Good, the bad, the ugly. John, lead us off. What's your good, the bad, the ugly this week?
So my good is a team I'm kind of rooting for a little bit, and that is the Philadelphia Phillies. Right now they're playing probably their best baseball of the year. They're 18 games over 500. They started off 22-29 with Joe Girardi this year, but after firing him under Rob Thompson, they've gone 58-33. I think their offense right now, they're sixth in OPS, they're sixth in home runs. A lot is clicking for them right now in terms of JT Realmuto. He's hitting the crap out of the ball. Rhys Hoskins has been good all year. You got Segura, you got Alec Boehm, who's come on nicely. Obviously, Bryce Harper, he's now back from injury. And I think their pitching is a bit underrated, too. You talked about Aaron Nola last week, Chris. Hopefully they'll get Zach Wheeler back for the playoffs. But I think they're looking really good right now. And I don't think anyone wants to see that offense come October. For my bad, I'm going to go with the Minnesota Twins. It's now or never for them at this point. They have to go on some sort of run here because, the wild card, looking at it as a wild card, their only, chance at postseason baseball right now is to win the division. They're currently a game over 500. They have not been playing that well. Their pitching depth has really been tested. Carlos Correa, he's been better as of late, but I think for the Twins right now, unless they really go on a run here, it's not looking like they're going to make the playoffs this season. And then for my ugly is a player I wanted to highlight, and that's Cody Bellinger, 2019 NL MVP. I don't know what has happened to Cody Bellinger, honestly. The last 3 years, he has not been good. Last year, he was a negative 1.5 WAR as a player. He's got a 73 OPS plus this year, 638 OPS. His walk rate is a career low. He is really, really fallen off a cliff, honestly. And at just 26 years old, I mean, this was a guy we thought was one of the best, players, one of the best hitters in baseball. And he's really just been disappointing all season long for the Dodgers.
Yeah, that's
That's all I got.
Bellinger and Yelich are two guys that have just confused the hell out of me the last few years.
Yeah, I know. It doesn't make any sense.
Walter wanted to know if he was worth $35 million.
No, Bellinger?
Yeah.
Well, I know that didn't Bellinger separate his shoulder or something like that on a stupid celebration, and since then he's never been the same.
Yeah. It was after maybe when they won the World Series. I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Really.
All right, what is your?
It may have even been before that people determined that he was having trouble with velocity. I don't know.
Oh, okay. So, Uper, what is your inside the number?
Okay, good, bad, ugly.
Good, bad, ugly. Jeez, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I'm really sorry. I've been again. This is the first time we've live streamed almost. I thought this game would be over by now, and that's my bad.
The playoffs are on the line, man. It's all right.
Yeah, I mean, this is as close as we're going to get to meaningful baseball, so we might as well watch it.
Exactly. So I got the good, the bad, and the bittersweet this week. I changed it up a little bit.
I like that. Okay.
My good is the Tampa-Toronto series. A couple of the games haven't been close, but there's been a lot of great talent on the field. What I'm interested in is it's just for myself, my own personal thing. I've often wondered throughout the wild card era, am I going to get into wild card baseball? Is the pennant race the same? And I guess at the end of the day, it's not quite the same, but it's close enough. So I've been really paying a lot of attention to the wild card races. So maybe in the long run, Rob Manfred was right. More playoffs is a good thing.
Yeah.
So, but Tampa put Toronto in the woodshed today. I think they're now about one game apart. So I think there's going to be a real good run between those two teams here down the stretch. And it's just seems like they have a little bit of a budding rivalry going. Although Toronto seems like they have some bad blood with Baltimore too. So maybe it's just Toronto likes to mix it up with people.
Yeah, Toronto has bad blood with. Yeah, Toronto.
Everybody.
Toronto had bad blood with everyone. I feel like.
I think I saw that the Rays put together the first all Latino lineup ever.
Yes.
Wait,
pretty
really?
cool.
Kind of neat.
Yep.
I was surprised that was the case, but
it is national. It's funny you say that too. Today's the beginning of National Hispanic Heritage Month.
Yeah, so they all wore Roberto Clemente's number today, 21.
That's awesome. You know what? I was thinking of Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh had featured the first all black lineup, correct? I think it was like
in like the 70s.
Yeah, I believe it was early 70s.
I can see that.
Yeah. My bad was we mentioned him earlier, but we'll talk about just a little bit more. Tony La Russa. Usually I like to make fun of Tony. No one's made more fun of Tony La Russa than me, whether it's here or anywhere. Whether it's his social proclivities, his driving proclivities, whatnot, his old school ways, whatever. But at the end of the day, the guy if he would have just walked away from the sport when he retired from the Cardinals, the man's a living legend. I mean, yeah, people would still make some jokes maybe about his drinking, and that's going to happen. You can't avoid it. But overall, when the name Tony La Russa came up, it was going to be a genuinely positive conversation about a Hall of Famer. But his poor outing as an executive or a consultant in Arizona, coupled with this madness of bringing him back at his age, when he was clearly lost a step or three, I wonder, in the long run, do people forget about it and just remember the World Series titles? Or is this always going to be a little bit of a stain on his resume that ended so poorly? And for his sake, I hope he's remembered. You know, he was a great manager through the 90s and in the 2000s. It's a shame to see the legacy tarnished this way. My bittersweet was something fun that I ran across. Can you guys name? Well, first off, let me ask this. John, have you seen the movie Field of Dreams?
Parts of it.
Okay. There was a character named Moonlight Graham who famously played a half an inning in his career. He played in left field, never had a ball hit to him. The game was over. The season was over, and he never played in another major league game. Okay, that's how the movie went and so on. Can you guys name the only guy who appeared in a game, his only game, but never played in a game?
So he
appeared, but he did not play. And I'll explain.
All right. What? Okay.
Yeah.
Is this recently or in the next? Or like
This was in 1969.
Yeah, it's just like. Is he like well? He's not well known, obviously.
I know. So you don't know the story. That's cool. I didn't know the story either. He is the brother of Robin Yount. His name is Larry Yount.
Didn't he get hurt?
Yes, he was.
Yes,
called
I did
up.
know this.
He was called up on the 40-man roster at the end of the 69 season. Was about to make his debut. He had a nice year in AAA. But he knew in his heart that he was kind of a fringy guy. He's warming up in the bullpen to come into a meaningless game at the end of the season. Elbows hurting him. He gets out on the mound. He didn't tell anybody in the bullpen. He gets on the mound and he throws 2 or 3 warm-up pitches, and the elbow's getting much, much worse. He's announced as in the game, but he calls out the trainer, and he leaves with an elbow problem. So his season's over. So he officially appeared in the game. He's in the major league record books. He's never called up again. He retires in 1975, never made it back to the majors. The man was on the mound, ready to be in the big leagues. And he couldn't throw one pitch with his elbow. And he came out and never made it back. So he's in the record books as a major leaguer. He's getting the pension as a major leaguer. So, so that's all good stuff. But his brother, Robin Yount, gave him a lot of credit as being a role model for him and helping him get to the majors. But it's a bittersweet story to hear of a guy who put those years in and then didn't make it back. But also, before that happened, when he got pulled off the mound, he had to go and spend a week in military in the reserves before he made it. If he had been there that extra week, his elbow was fine, he said. He probably would have gotten in the game. But he had to go spend a week with the reserves, and then he got to the majors, and that happened. So I thought that was a pretty fun story on Larry Yount.
That's a really good story. Thanks for sharing that. That's still in the era where Cotto shots were. I remember Danny McLean was talking about that and how many times did some arms would get that, and so, but in this case that didn't happen. But yeah, that's an unfortunate story. But cool that he's still getting a pension. So
yeah.
All right, Chris, what is your good, the bad, the ugly?
So my good is speaking of those the Blue Jays and Rays. My good is Bo Bichette, who was kind of disappointing for most of the year. Like not bad, but just kind of average. So 1 month ago he was at like 2 WAR, was like the 14th among all shortstops in WAR this season, and then he's just gone absolutely bonkers for the last month. He's batting 373, 422, 678 with 7 home runs, 13 doubles, and a triple in a month. It's a 213 WRC plus and worth 2.2 WAR. So basically, in the last 29 games, he's been more valuable than he was in all of the first 112 games. And look at Mr. Parker Meadows. We'll make that our number 2 good. Parker Meadows against the lefty with an RBI single to put the SeaWolves up 7-6 here in the 11th inning, the second straight 11th inning game with the SeaWolves. So yeah, I could get that highlight if you want me to, or you can.
You go ahead and get the highlight, Chris, and I'll go with my good, bad, the ugly this week. So my good is the Dodgers clinching the postseason, and I know that sounds like an easy slam dunk to do that, but the reason why I wanted to mention the Dodgers is because as far as there's so much talent on the Dodgers, and the one constant that has been in the rotation, and I really don't ever get a chance to really talk about him, but has been Julio Urias, who is got a WAR 4.1 WAR right now, and he's been last year in terms of like he had 30 about the head over about the same, but he's just been a steady force for the Dodgers all season long. This was a guy who I remember when before he had elbow problems, like there was a lot expected out of him, and it was kind of he came back from injuries done. He won 20 games last year, and the 2 seasons fully healthy. He's been like a really good foundation for the Dodgers, and it's a homegrown prospect for all the money they have spent on talent and trades. This is a guy. It goes back to what the Dodgers do best, which is farm guys. That's all they do, and they're very good at it, and they got it down to a science. And so I really think that Urias does not get enough. So I wanted to give the good. The bad this week, and I'm not going to be totally negative, but one of the things I did want to mention has been, in terms of division races, has been the AL Central, and I say that because you look at right now Philly, the Braves, and the Mets. While Phillies might be, they're going to be heading into the postseason. So, but as John mentioned earlier, we got the Braves and Mets. The Braves are 1 game back of the Mets right now. And the Braves have put up some really good numbers this year. But the reason why I think the AL Central race has been bad is because we see some really compelling baseball across the AL East right now. You have a chipper, right now the Yankees, Jays, and the Rays kind of battling things out. The Orioles all gotten chippy with each other. There's also been some sort of like spirited fighting and all that. And even out west, I mean, I know it's just 2 teams out there, and that's been kind of a bad race to watch. But the AL Central just doesn't seem like there's nothing really. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. I mean, you don't have wrong. I just don't feel like it's the same way. The AL Central, in terms of being convincing, is a good race to me.
There's nothing spicy about it.
Yeah, nothing spicy about it.
Well, I feel like people just think they're going to get bounced in the first round, which, I mean, it's playoff baseball. You never know, but that's kind of the consensus, I feel like, right now.
Yeah. And my ugly this week in the whole entire, I think, as far as what's going on, actually, I should take this back. The very good, because this is good. Minor league baseball will be unionized. So there is no ugly about that whatsoever. So for everybody, again, like I said, sometimes our segments are not that negative. So chill out.
The good, the bad, the very good. Yes. No, that is a great one. Yeah, they're joining the major league union, right?
Yeah, the great. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, So that's huge.
The great, the good.
There we go. And the very good. There you go. Yeah. So that is very good. I wanted to mention that. I wanted to leave that on the high note because I think it's important because these guys have. I give props to the major league players, baseball, the union themselves to get this done and get it done pretty quickly too before the end of the season. So props to that. And that is and Chris, so you have 2 left, right?
Yeah, I'm back to my bad, and my bad would be Quincy Deporte lining out for a double play apparently. No, my actual bad was Juan Soto's defense, which is something I hadn't really paid a whole lot of attention to. But it's really bad this year. Like he's grading out on outs above average. He's the 5th worst defensive player in baseball.
Wow.
And it's not quite as bad as for defensive run saved. It's -4, but it's still like bottom 5 for corner outfielders. He's up there with Nick Castellanos and Gavin Sheets, who is an infielder playing outfield. And it's a relatively minor issue, for a guy who's such a great offensive player, but it's a little concerning that he's so bad on defense and he's not even 24 yet. Like, just maybe down the line, he's going to be an awesome DH. I don't know. Or maybe he'll dedicate himself to getting better on defense. We'll see. But it kind of took me by surprise. And my ugly was another great article in the Athletic today. I don't know if people saw it. It was about the Royals pitching and their pitching development and how things have kind of fallen apart. And it's really an interesting parallel with the Tigers, right? Because the Tigers kind of built with pitching and the Royals did too. And actually, if you look at the starting pitching ERA for the Tigers and the Royals this year, it's pretty close. I think the Tigers are 4.67 and the Royals are 4.77. But the Tigers' situation doesn't feel as bad, I guess, because maybe just because the Tigers' young pitchers have mostly been hurt rather than just bad, like the Royals' young pitchers.
Right.
But the article was really illuminating because I've heard rumors before about, the Royals requiring their pitchers to throw certain pitches and not allowing them to throw sliders. And they just mentioned in the article, the Royals preferred four-seamers and curves to sliders and sinkers or whatever. And it didn't matter if that was what you were good at. You're just going to throw that. And there were stories about how they would force pitchers to throw fastballs in certain counts because they didn't want them to rack up strikeouts in the minors with like their breaking ball. And just in like there was discussion about how players couldn't go watch video of their outings unless a coach was with them.
What?
That one is bizarre.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. Was there any rhyme or reason behind that?
I don't know. And they actually had they got like the Royals answer to all these versions or all these issues, and things seem to have changed a little bit over the last year or two. But the main takeaway from it is just how, and the Royals apparently they have all the data that other teams do. They just haven't implemented a streamlined way of using it all, and not everybody's on the same page. And that's one of the main things that we saw with the Tigers, I think, for the last 4 or 5 years, right? The Tigers did all this stuff to get these new numbers. But when you still have the same developers who are old school guys, it doesn't help. It's just kind of a hindrance when not everybody's bought in, then it doesn't matter. So that was, one of the big things. And I think you can argue that the last year of development in the Tigers has been one of the best in decades with the amount of improvement we've seen from prospects and guys coming from nowhere to make themselves potential big leaguers. We haven't seen that in a long time. And I think that has to do with them having dedicated plans and being, everybody being mostly on the same page for the most part and having ways to help guys get better rather than forcing them to do one thing, the upsetting the orthodoxy. And I don't know, it was just a really interesting article, and it was nice to have it happen to someone who wasn't the Tigers.
And I think the one thing about the Royals too is that if there's one thing they've been able to develop though is hitting. Mm-hmm. So it's but then again, I think that might be a part of also having some high draft picks a little bit too. Mm-hmm. So I think it might have to do with it. So Tim Holgraffer. Oh man, I don't like this.
Yeah, I
have a bad feeling about this.
Yeah, Tim Holgraffer was in Lakeland for a good portion of the year.
There's a minor league.
Come on. What is with the field in Richmond? Everything's they give whipping hops. What the all back again on third base. Good Lord.
That was a minor league hop there.
All right, let's get to the questions. And
yeah, this
game started at 6:30, folks.
We got a lot of them.
Yeah, we got a lot of questions today. So let's so go ahead, Chris.
Power through them.
Yeah, right. Go power through them. Let's power through them.
All right. So the first one we got was from Steve at Detroit Rock City 89. He said the pros and cons of moving center and right center in 10 feet, mainly the pros. Wow. So we kind of already discussed that at the beginning of the show.
Right. Yeah.
The pros are you're going to see a couple more home runs from Tigers. The cons are you're going to see a couple more home runs from the opponents. That's it, I think, unless they put somehow awesome new seating in there. But I don't think they can because it's the batter's eye, right?
Right.
I suppose they could do you could put a tunnel under there with tinted windows, an interrogation room, so people can see out at the field level. But yeah,
there was an interesting complaint too from Lynn Henning of how big the dugouts were. I'm like, what? Why is that? What?
Too big or
you
too small?
You could put some premier seating there.
Well,
I guess I don't. Sure.
So.
One thing I did see, it is weird that the grounds crew tunnel is right behind home plate.
That is weird. No doubt that is weird. That is weird. I can't.
That's kind of how it is in Lansing too. It is a little bit odd.
No, but
that would be a perfect place to sit for a some people who want to spend the cash.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah, but I don't. Tiger, the seats behind home plate, I think, are fine. But I just thought the dugout one was just a little too nitpicky. But that's just me.
Yeah. So, and then Brian at Whitecaps fan 15 said, "Is Parker Meadows a top 10 Tigers prospect? And who gets added to the 40-man this offseason, and who gets left unprotected?"
Oh,
it's a big Tim Holgraffer strikeout. Maybe now you can roll up a double play and win this thing, huh?
Be nice.
But Parker Meadows, top 10 prospect. What say you?
Yes, no doubt, no doubt. He is, again, since July 1st, some of the best numbers in the system.
I would say bottom part of the top 10, and probably has played his way onto the roster this winter.
Yeah, gentlemen, there's a lot of decisions the Tigers have to make when it comes to the Rule 5, or excuse me, for the 40-man roster and also for the Rule 5 draft. And there's some guys that are going to let walk. And I was looking at this yesterday as, just happened. Oh, you got it. God, damn it.
Diego Rincones again, wasn't it?
Screw you, Diona Rincones. God darn it.
I thought they got him, but
yeah,
but couldn't turn double play there, and it would have been a tough one, I think.
What is with this field? Seriously, what is with this field? What am I missing something about this dirt field here?
It's minor leagues, and it's Richmond. It's a sun-baked Richmond field.
Yeah, they got to get a GM first about that. No, you guys are right, but there's some. Here's the thing: like before, yes, they have to get a GM, but the way Lynn Henning again. He comes a lot tonight. So Lynn, if you're listening, congratulations, you're very popular.
Checks in the mail, Lynn.
Yeah, checks in the mail, Lynn. Look, he's suggesting that they're going to make a decision by September 26th, which means that either they're going to go. I don't really know. The Tigers keep a lot of things close to the vest, and even when you like the vibe out there, you're not getting anything. I mean, I have seen Sam Mezen around a little bit more and what have you, but he's also the new GM, so it could be or temporary GM rather, I should say. But as far as Rule 5, they have these decisions to make for the new GM to make. Yeah, not Dingler. I'm sorry. Parker Meadows is Rule 5 eligible. You have Sawyer Gibson Long, who you just acquired. Well, probably, I don't know. He might not draw any interest, but they have Carlos Pena. They have a lot of arms they have to make decisions on. But again, some of them are not that important. Yep. Winfield Perez also as well. So I think Winfield Perez makes a case to make the 40-man roster. I think Parker Meadows does. And missing somebody, pitcher. Oh, Reese Olson.
Reese Olson is, I think, yes. I think Meadows, Olson are stone cold locks. I think Perez probably is too. And then Lipsius is a good, you have a good argument there.
Yeah.
And after that, it's kind of tough because it's like you're betting like these guys have major league talent, but can they stick on a roster? So like someone like Heider Montero could theoretically get taken and thrown in a bullpen and just see if it sticks, but I don't think that they would protect him. So I don't picture them protecting Dane Myers either, but it's tough to say.
I know people in Richmond like to dance.
Oh boy! Did you see that one guy hitting his stomach?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness!
I didn't want to bring that up.
Oh my God. That was.
Man! All right. Anybody else want to add anything before we move to the next question?
Nope.
All right, Chris. We might end the podcast before this game ends. Chris, what's the next question?
Well, we've got Trevor Huth asked us how many stripes does the pause costume have? I actually know the answer to that at 51. The Tigers are alien conspiracy theorists.
I like the second part to that one.
What did he say? Who has the best hair?
The best mustache in Tigers history.
Oh, yeah, that's Reese. That was Reese White. Yeah, they must. I mean, you guys are both historians. I have a couple names in mind.
As far as mustache goes, I would have to say the best mustache. Uper, I don't know. You're more familiar with the 70s Tigers than I am. I'll be honest. Is there a good mustache that stands out to you?
They had a pitcher named Ray Bear.
Ray Bear.
B-A-R-E. He had a pretty nice mustache. They had a guy they got from the Texas Rangers named Steve Foucault, relief pitcher. He had a pretty good facial hair game. Let's
Oh,
see.
I just found Steve Bear. I'm gonna post it in the chat, everybody, so everybody in the chat can see. Michael, I like those. Like Michael, that Behringer, Austin Mariner has lost a little of his velocity, but he's still valuable enough. So I'm gonna put this in the chat. I don't want
Tom Brookins had a good mustache.
Yeah, Brookins had a good mustache, but
yeah. What about recent guys?
Well, I mean, so Tyler Alexander. To me, Tyler Alexander has a nice. He and Jack Morris both have that kind of like Ned Flanders push broom mustache, which is pretty solid and dense.
Well, Jake Rogers had one too.
Jake Rogers had one. Todd Jones is one that people like. Kind of the handlebar. But to me, it's Jim Leland. It's Jim Leland. It's the frosted mini wheat with a cigarette dangling under it.
Yeah.
There's Ray Bear.
Yeah, there's Ray Bear. And that's Ray Bear.
Ray Bear took over Mark Fidrich's rotation spot. He had the first crack at it, I think, when Fidrich went down. And then I don't think he obviously didn't do anything with it, but I think I'm right about that. I'm not 100% sure.
That's a good pick there. So Ray Bear, for me, outside of Tim Brookins, Morris's mustache is legendary, but I would have to say Juan Berner had a really good mustache too. That's what I remember. So let's get back to the Erie SeaWolves. Let's get back to the action. All right. So that's in terms of facial hair game. There we go.
Yeah.
Right, Chris, what's the next question?
Chafin
is. You know what? Chafin has a. And as far as modern mustaches go, I would go with that. Definitely.
Yeah. I keep thinking of Jabba Chamberlain. I know he didn't have a mustache, but he had like that beard. I don't know why I keep thinking about that.
Does it haunt your dreams? Apparently.
I don't know.
So Deadly Ninja Bee said, "How do we fix Badu? And can we get a report card on all the rookies? Lord knows we've seen a bunch of them."
We can do an article about that.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah.
I think less it'd be tough to do a report card on all the rookies right now, but
Catfish Hunter had a really good mustache too. That does remind me of that. What were you gonna say, I'm sorry.
Well, I think fixing Badu really just going to come to he's going to have to play more. He's going to have to play in the minors. I think they're going to have to use an option on him next year if they have any hopes of him becoming a regular. He's going to have to play a lot. He's going to have to get a lot of coaching. Right now, he's getting chewed up.
He had a nice double the other night, though.
He did, absolutely. But, he's not hitting the fastball. You can't hit the fastball, you can't play.
Yeah.
He has 1 home run and 141 at-bats this year.
Yeah, that triple, by the way, that was his first triple of the season he had the other night. And, he still looks a little overmatched. But as far as rookies go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, it's just been a really bizarre year for him. Like you said, 140 at-bats. It feels like he's been around all season almost. I mean, he was down in the minors for a while. But it's basically his rookie year. He played a bunch last year and was fun. And what's a bummer is he looked so good like the first 2 weeks of spring training. He looked like he was about to take that next step. He had like 5 home runs. He was like a 900 OPS, and then it just from there it was just like straight downhill all year. So I don't know if it's mental. I don't know if they've really found his weaknesses or whatever. But I agree with you. He basically needs to play every day somewhere. And if he doesn't make the team out of spring training, he should be playing every day in Toledo.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a sporadic play doesn't help, but at the same time, I think they're trying to see what they have with Carpenter and whether Carpenter is going to be a full-time player next year or not. I think that Carpenter's shown enough. If out of all the rookie storylines here, to answer Ninja B's question, I think Carpenter has really surprised me out of everybody. Outside of we expected out of Riley Green, he was going to put it together. Torkelson's been hitting better as of late. That was a nice pitch. He could have done nothing about that. That was a nice pitch.
It's a tough day at the plate for Josh Crouch, 0 for 6 with 3 Ks.
Ugh. Yeah, a little overmatched tonight. But as far as what expected, as far as Carpenter coming out of nowhere, he's been able to hit, and he's been able to hit against Major League pitching decently. He looked a little overmatched at first. There's times where but he's batting over. I think it's over 270 at the moment. So
He's got 4 home runs already.
yeah, which just put him on the top 3.
Yeah.
He has made a couple of swings, and you can't base everything off September numbers.
Right.
We know September numbers aren't reliable. And even I'm going to talk about a couple of swings I saw, and you can't base a whole lot on a couple of swings. But I really liked a couple of times, especially once that last home run he hit to the opposite field in Los Angeles. He took a short swing, almost a defensive hack, and he drove it out to the other way. He did it on another at bat too, where he hit a line drive to the opposite field. He showed a lot of pop in his bat for a short defensive swing, and that to me is I like the look of that. So I want to see more.
There was a hit too. Didn't he like kind of drop his hands a little bit and then kind of swung low? It was a home run, I believe it was, where he just kind of almost like he dropped his hands and put himself to put the barrel on that pretty fast.
Yeah, he's pretty good at barreling it up, and he's got some strength.
Yeah, that to me, I think that's a story. I know his numbers don't reflect it, and I know you're right. I mean, this kind of time of year, their numbers like that can provide false hope, but still, there's some encouraging signs that are definitely there for sure. And Walter, I'm with you. I hope that Austin Meadows comes back healthy and physically. He's been through a lot, and anybody that's given him kind of grief, or for that matter, I just think it's ridiculous. You don't know what's a player. I mean, this is a guy who also been traded, new team, new environment. I give him the benefit of the doubt. All right, Chris, what is the next question?
We did actually get a question from someone. He said, who has the brighter future, Josh Crouch or Dylan Dingler?
Well, right now, I would say, you know what, I'll let you answer this first.
I would still go with Dingler. Just on the pedigree, on the draft status, on what we've seen, I'm going to admit, all I know about Crouch is the box scores. Tonight is as much as I've ever seen him bat or play. So I'll go with Dingler for now. I still have hopes that, he has a little bit more contact in his game as he gets a little more experience.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. I still believe Dingler could be the catcher of the future.
I have belief in Dingler too. I think Crouch has shown some things, but again, we need more of a sample size from what he's going to do in Erie. Although I think that, the home run aside, I think he does not look tonight. 0 for 6. I can't really say anything about that, but still, I think he can handle it.
Yeah, it's tough asking anybody to jump up to Double-A at the end of the season. They always talk about that. That's the biggest jump in the minors, right? High A to Double-A.
Yeah.
Realistically, I think we're looking at a couple of backup catchers, and I think Dingler has the higher defensive ceiling because he's a better athlete. He's got more, agility. He's faster. That doesn't really matter, but he's a better athlete. And I think Crouch is probably going to hit a little better, but Dingler is going to strike out 30+% of the time. Unfortunately, there's a lot of swing and miss in his game. I don't see it changing. And so it just kind of depends on what I think, given an offensive first catcher or a defense first catcher, I think teams are going to pick the glove first guy. So I think Dingler has a better chance to be a regular just because his defense is going to be better. But I don't know that either guy is has a particularly high ceiling anymore. I guess Dingler still has a high ceiling, I would say, just because of the tools. But, he's in Double-A now with a 30% strikeout rate over a year plus. I don't think he's going to hit a ton, unfortunately. So, it is what it is. Catchers take a long time to develop, though. So you never know when it might click on offense. There's so much they have to deal with. Just catching a good game is a big part of that. So.
And Joseph asked a question about the crazy pop, and there's no lock right now. I think the only few locks you can say this team right now is maybe Riley Green, Spencer Torkelson, and players under contract like Baez and Rodriguez. But right now, it's so until they get a new GM, who knows? And they could trade Carpenter for help. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But no, Joseph, that's a good question. But right now, as it stands, I just feel. Again, when they announce a GM, we'll definitely be discussing it, and we could definitely give perhaps more of a accurate who's going to do what or land where, rather. All right. What was the next question, Chris?
So Kay Turret said, "Do the Tigers have any African Americans in the system, or will the call-ups continue to be a procession of white boys named Tyler, Kerry, and Jace?"
Dylan Smith.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
you know, I mean, Brendan Davis is on the 40-man roster, and he's in AAA Toledo. You know, Daz Cameron's still down there. Dylan Smith is a pitcher, but yeah, it's not.
no, it's not.
You don't see a whole lot of African Americans in the Tiger system right now, unfortunately. But it's it's kind of consistent across baseball over the last few decades, right?
Yeah, I mean, as far as the organization goes, Dave Myers, but is he ever going to be a thing? I don't know. I mean, Dave Myers I would have put on there too, but I think it's in baseball in general. I saw a study. I think it was an article I read on ESPN a few years back that the African Americans playing baseball has declined because they're going more towards like football and things that are making a little more money. And so that's where that is the reason why there's such a drop in that too. And not to mention, and this is something that involving fields, the travel baseball is becoming more and more expensive, and little league stuff like that,
necessary.
And there is a big discrepancy because some of these inner city teams that don't even have good fields or good places to have facilities. And like for example, the Miguel Cabrera Foundation has given money to some of the fields in Clark Park and down in Southwest Detroit, like a school like Detroit Western, which is part of the PSL. The PSL used to be a decent baseball conference. Now that some of these schools, unfortunately, don't have the facilities to even, some of these kids are not learning how to play baseball till 9th grade. And so that is disparaging for some of the inner city communities. But yeah, travel baseball is becoming a thing where they're eliminating house leagues. And you can attest to this.
Travel baseball, I mean, you're talking, it's a 4-figure investment every year for the parents, between the fees and the multiple uniforms, $400 bats.
Yeah, the traveling,
travel costs in terms of hotel. It's not a cheap endeavor. Some of those organizations will give like a scholarship to some people because they want their talent on their team, but there's not that many of them. Oh, and Richmond is jumping around.
Yeah, that was a
anyway,
walk-up win for Richmond. That's a tough one. Yep. Erie.
I've said it before. I'm sorry.
Good.
At these travel events, you don't see many rusty Chevrolets in the parking lot. Okay, I mean, it's people with wealth who got their kids out there. So you're going to see a lot of $70,000 SUVs, and it's become an expensive sport. There's no question about it.
Joseph in the YouTube chat with saying perfect game tourneys when I was playing would cost the team and families thousands to travel even after you're qualified, especially if you're trying to get in front of schools and scouts. Thank you for that, Joseph. And your brother, and correct me if I'm wrong, your brother plays too, right, John?
Yeah, he's played for years, so.
So you can attest to that there. But unfortunately, to answer Kate Turret's question, I think it's just across the board. I mean, the Tigers wise, I mean, that goes back a little while, honestly. I mean, it goes back. I'm talking Nelson Simmons. I'm talking Chris Granderson, of course, but other than that,
Austin Jackson.
Well, I mean, he got him via trade, but just there's.
And Austin Jackson was a kid who the Yankees, I want to say, gave him a huge bonus. It was in the 8th round to get him away from playing basketball. He was going to go to Georgia Tech, I think, to play basketball. And so they, you got to pony up when the players are good because, But anyway, I
was just about to say that kind of.
Yeah.
It might even be harder now to pay people out of going to college for basketball and football because they can sell their name, image, and likeness.
Yeah, Derek Hill comes to mind too, but it's few and far between. It's unfortunate.
So we had Zach at Montana Bud Boy. He asked a question that was sort of similar earlier. He said Meadows seems like a slam dunk to be out of the 40-man. What about Winslow Perez and Andre Lipsius? And has Lipsius been the most impressive infielder between AA and AAA this season? I think, when you're talking overall, he has. hitting 300 in AAA still, I think, right?
Last I checked, yeah. I'll double
Yeah.
check that, but yeah.
Just middle infielders, or just infielders?
Just infielders, I guess. Yeah. So,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, you could say like Quincy Naporti has had a very impressive season in AA as a first baseman.
Yeah, Colt Keith, I think.
Colt Keith, yeah, but I think he mentioned AA and AAA, so and Keith would have been in AA. Yeah, I mean, like, Kreidler is a better defender, but Lipsius is just a more consistent offensive player, and he gives you better at bats, and it'll be really interesting to see what they do. I do think that they will add him to the 40-man because I think he's got some skills that not a lot of guys on the big league team or in the minors really have. He walks a lot and works really good at bats, and I think that's something they need more of.
Yeah, he's 78 walks to 81 strikeouts this year.
And Hinch is a big fan of him too as well, so that does help. And he does everything: walks, plays defense. And he plays in the #1 minor league sports city in the country, according to livability.com.
Hey, Toledo, all right.
Yeah, so Toledo, there you go.
Only Toledo, that's a great ward.
Yeah, there you go. Insert Jamie Farr reference. So,
all right. Last question I have here is actually, this is kind of what you asked me after the show last week. It's from Nerub Wesley. He said, not sure if you can reel too much, but what makes you say this team isn't conducting a real GM search? It's just a Lynn Henning article. And that was mostly me saying that. I mean, feel free to, if you guys also agree with me, or I'll go out alone on this one. But my basic theory there, and yeah, I don't have any, and we've heard some scuttlebutt behind the scenes, but I don't have anybody saying like, oh, this isn't a real GM search. It's just me doing a bunch of math in my head. And the main thing is that there seems to be absolutely zero danger of AJ Hinch losing his job, which you don't ever see that when the team is looking for a general manager. The manager is usually like, oh, he better start, putting his resume out. And you see it in football sometimes. I think Bill Belichick is technically not the general manager of the Patriots. Maybe he is. But you don't ever see it where a manager gets to pick his GM. And that's essentially what's going on here with the Tigers. And I even tweeted about it. I said, if you're picking a GM and your manager's not in danger of losing his job, then you already have your GM. He just doesn't want the name GM. And so I think what we're looking for here is they're going through a small subset of candidates who would be acceptable, who can work with AJ Hinch. And that really is why the Josh Burns name makes the most sense, right? Because he has what you would want, from the outside. He's got GM experience and he was with the Dodgers, which is great. And it works really well with AJ Hinch, but it's not, and it's something that you see like several people online keep harping on, like what's the rush? We seem like, there's some teams who might get rid of their GM after the season, and these are GMs with a good, solid track record, and the Tigers don't seem interested in waiting at all. So to me, it's just a matter of finding, they may already even have the guy, person picked out and just kind of waiting for the right time to announce it. So that's why I say it's not a real GM search. It's not, they're not, keeping an open mind and looking at every possible candidate. They're just looking at a small subset of people. That's my opinion.
No, and look, as far as in terms of a influence on what Hinch has had for the decision wise, I think if you look at right now, he's speaking more to the press, obviously, because Mezzan has got the interim label on it. I mean, there's names been speculated. There's been a few names speculated, but there hasn't been like this, airport watch. Somebody's been in a limo, like what we had a few years ago. But it's funny. I saw Hinch where I was working at, and I saw him talking to somebody, but I didn't think anything of consequence. But you know what I mean? Like it is hanging out with people all the time. So I look, as far as like what something tells me right now, I think they have the person they're targeting. They're probably finishing the details, and I want to believe that I really want to believe they're going to wait till October, but I don't think that's the case. I think they have somebody in mind, whether it's Burns, whether it's somebody else that they've worked with before, or even Mezzan for that matter. If they decide to go Sam Mezzan, you also will find out how much of an influence he has on the current personnel they've been drafting. Because if there's one thing that we can say, in Josh Croucher's an example of this, and we look at the pitching staff across the board, they have gotten better developing players. They have gotten, that's something that I can say with 100% confidence. And go ahead.
Do you think they've gotten better or they've had a good year?
No, I think they've gotten better. And
Okay.
here's the reason why. Just look at their numbers, like the numbers in terms of like the batting average, stuff like that. It's not much of it's a small increase. There's not much of, like, when you look at the data, just looking at the box score data and like batting averages per team and all that, it doesn't paint a whole picture. I mean, I look at like Austin Meadows, for example, comes to mind. So you're like, or excuse me, Parker Meadows. Like, okay, well, that's one example.
Winslow Perez. Yep.
Yeah, Winslow Perez. But even it's like the little things, like picking up the Porty. Like, the Porty is a career veteran, but I don't think the Tigers in the past have picked up. I mean, we were talking about Adrian Rodriguez that helped out the Toledo roster, but I look at the progress on guys like Brendan White, Mango. There is even like Dylan Smith. Even when he had that lull, he got better last few starts. There's like even Ty Madden. They fixed his windup. Have you ever? I mean, you've the reason why I always love your perspective is because you do have a historical side of it, not only for the major league side but the minor league side. But can you remember a time at all that you heard somebody say, "Oh yeah, the Tigers fixed this guy in the minor leagues"?
It's few and far between. There's no question. I mean, you have to always. No one ever pops to mind. You have to really rack your brain and come up with some possible examples. And here's the thing. I asked you the question just now, but I agree with you. I think they've probably made some systemic changes that are yielding some results. I don't think it has to be a 1 year that they've just had all these guys take a little step. And next year, and next year's another year, things could happen. But it seems to me they've had enough breadth of improvement from so many different players at different levels that something positive is probably brewing in the system.
Well, yeah, Wilmer Flores is probably the biggest example.
Yeah,
and that's
good scouting right there.
You could attribute it, I think, a lot to the arrival of Feder has a lot to do with it. I think that they really, and you can see it. We haven't interviewed a ton of players this year. I was able to interview Jackson Jobe a couple weeks ago, but there was an interview with Jackson Jobe from David Lorela in Fangraphs today. And if you read it, he's talking about his specific spin rates and his vertical movement and his horizontal movement and all this stuff. And that's not stuff that like a kid would just be doing on his own. This is, we've heard it and we've seen it where they now have targeted plans for every one of their players, which is not something they used to do. I used to always ask players like, hey, is there anything specific the team is doing with you? And they would never have anything specific to say ever. They're like, they just want me to go out there and play my game. That was it. And this is like the thing, like AJ Hinch as GM is not a bad outcome, even if he's, a shadow GM, because Alavila isn't the one who hired Ryan Garco. I don't think he was the one who went out there and goes, yeah, this is a guy who knows what he's doing, and Gabe Rebos. And I think those are AJ Hinch moves, maybe Minzen moves, maybe Sartori, but I think that's an indication. I mentioned earlier, this has been one of the better years of development that I can remember. I think that's an indication of the sort of processes and the sort of thinking that we'll get from like an AJ Hinch regime. It's just that I don't, like I was speculating before that maybe he will be the GM, but now I think, he wants to be the manager, but wants to basically have a direct line to the GM and have two guys who think exactly the same. So he doesn't even have to say anything. The GM knows exactly what AJ Hinch would do. And I think that's what we're going to get. And that's why Burns makes the most sense to me, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, the one of the things you mentioned too, the personnel, like there was Jason Beck that wrote about Josh Crouch got some hitting instruction from, I believe it was the hitting instructor in West Michigan. Is it Wamsley? I think it is.
Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about. He's there. I forgot his name. Is it Bredesen?
Maybe it's Bredesen.
Yeah, something like that. But we've heard a lot of and a lot of it is we've also heard guys improving by going elsewhere, working with high school coaches or outside coaches or something like that. I just feel like there have been enough improvements, and maybe it is just like a random, like, hey, a couple years off the COVID year, guys are making natural movement forward. But I do think that they've improved the development process in a big way. They still have, a way to go to catch up to the Dodgers and the Astros and the Guardians and stuff. But I think they've made a positive move forward, and I attributed that to Hinch and the hiring that's happened under there. But maybe that's just, maybe it's just a coincidence.
I don't think so.
Our old friend Keith Law, who was never above throwing a grenade at a team, he came right out and said that if they do, he didn't use this word, but I'll use it. If the Tigers do the milquetoast move of Josh Burns, it's quite a missed opportunity that they did not hire some of the really fantastic minority candidates that are out there, like Dana Brown and Carlos Rodriguez and so on and so forth. He really put it out there. I mean, in no uncertain terms that it would be. He borderline said it'd be outrageous. Maybe that's a little strong, but I think that's where he was going with it.
I would be pleasantly shocked if it's Dana Brown. I'd be excited about that. There's a great track record there, but I just don't see it happening.
And look, the one thing about baseball, and I don't talk about this very much because I'm one of those people, as much as I'm a proud Hispanic person, and I try not to use race in anything I talk about because it's just a thing that gets ugly really quick. But every time when I'm on the field and I look around, I know full well that, I take pride in the fact that only one of two Hispanic journalists in this town, whatever title I have you. But when I look at front office people, I don't see anybody that looks like me at all, or even in a PR position or anything. I'm sorry. The only person, I take that back. It was Carlos Guillen that works.
There was Al Avila.
Yeah, there was Al Avila.
Yeah, but then was he surrounded by other?
No.
That's my point. And in that case, it's like just again, it's not. I'm trying to emphasize that it's something you notice. You can't help but notice.
I believe it.
And it's not that I do it on purpose or anything, but I mean, where I've lived and where I've grown up, it after a while, you just kind of you get used to it or whatever the case is. But as far as candidates go, Lynn mentioned it. He didn't hear anything about Carlos Rodriguez. I think he wouldn't go anyways because I think he's gonna be the next GM in Tampa. He's set up there. He lives there. He's from the area. But Dane Brown, and then there was a gentleman from the Cleveland, the Guardians, the assistant
Marco,
GM.
right?
Yeah. So something to that effect. I hope that they get the consideration, and I wish they would have like a rule. They have like the Rooney rule, but even the Rooney rule in the NFL is a joke. It's a joke. I'm sorry. It doesn't. There's no real strict enforcement of it. So, anyways, I don't want to take the show off the wrong rails on that. But as far as what Stoppett said here, I think this is a good way to end the show. Do we have any more questions, Chris, or that was it?
No, that was it. So.
Okay, cool. And this is a good way to end the show. How much of this GM search has anything with Illich not wanting a high team role? That's a good question.
Well, we'll know quickly. I think, there's only so many ways to rebuild this current roster. If he wants to win fast, if he doesn't want to go through a rebuild process and wants to put a winning club on the field next year, you can say you got to win trades, you got to develop players, but you're going to have to sign a couple of ball players, and you're going to have to put some money into the product. So I think we'll know pretty quick.
Yeah.
I don't see them wanting to be like a Tampa or an Oakland or Cleveland where they're just running bottom of the barrel payrolls and still competing. I think they would like to be sort of a mid-market Dodgers, right? Where they're developing, but they're also spending money when they can. But I don't, it's not just like what we know of Chris Illich. They didn't spend any money for 5 years. And then this last year, they spent a lot of money. They could have spent more, but they did spend a decent amount of money, far more than we saw Cleveland spend or Tampa has ever spent or Oakland. So I don't think they're out there looking for somebody who's going to keep the payroll low. I think they just want somebody who's going to do what Hinch says, but run a clean operation.
All right, folks.
Well, I just hope it doesn't come down to that. Javi Baez didn't work out, so we're done with that.
Hey, he leads the team in WAR. Hey,
Yeah.
he's a team of war too.
Yeah.
Well, it's Javi Baez. It's only 1 year. I feel like I wouldn't be giving up on him.
So,
Yeah.
sometimes you get that reason, like especially those pitches the other night were. Yeah, boy. All right, folks. Well, it's over 2 hours now because of the live stream. Again, the extra innings. Thanks so much for everybody who stuck around, and we appreciate the entire podcast. Thanks for the show, or thanks for everybody participating tonight. And you can find, by the way, John is our. I'm gonna just put John as our producer. John, if any question for all questions related to show production, go to John. John's going to be the producer for here on out for a while.
Nice.
So he's going to be cutting those clips. And any suggestions, comments for the show again, even that review, 2-star review. Thank you. Honestly, I'm not even mad about it. But don't make fun of my production ever again.
We will find you.
Yeah. No, but all jokes aside, thanks so much for listening. We'll talk to you this weekend. We should be, one of us will, I think I'll be down at the White Sox Tiger series at some point. And we'll be keeping an eye on Erie. If Erie does make it to the postseason, we'll be out there Tuesday for the first game, which would be game 1. And then they go down to Richmond for game 2.
Oh, go for a road trip.
Oh, if I could do the road, that would be awesome. So thanks everybody. Have a good evening, everybody.